Well, apparently it's Mike Tyson that made the quote, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face." Well, today I want to talk a little bit about the effects of porn, and I want to do this not from a culture warrior standpoint. There's a lot of stuff out there where people are trying to take on the porn industry and those things. I don't know. For me, it doesn't really work for me in terms of helping me. I don't have any effect. There was a guy in the 70s, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And he would say, if you want to live with a degree of serenity, then you had better work out the difference between your circle of concern, all of the things in the world that you're concerned about, and your circle of actual influence. And you will do much better in life. You will have a lot more peace if you focus on the things you actually have control or influence over. So the last time I checked, Pornhub's not been calling me to correct their behaviors. Mark Zuckerberg's not even been calling me from Facebook regarding changes to Facebook. But this is what I do know. I do know that people call me and they describe some version of problematic porn use in their life. Other people call me and they, or not call me, but I've had conversations with people when I tell them what I do. And in a good natured way, but also I think in a good faith way, they would ask this question. So what is actually the problem with porn? Like, they're not just being, like stupid about it and saying, well, you're an idiot because you do this. But in a good faith way, they're saying, can you describe for me why you do this and what's the problem you see in people's life? So I want to talk this morning about a punch in the face, why porn for many of the guys that I work with is like a punch in the face. So here we go. Welcome aboard.
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, this idea of a punch in the face, this idea of problematic porn use is really my efforts to just summarize really quickly that question. Well, what is the problem with porn? What are the problems that it has? And I could write a 20-page document on it, but I have summarized with a single page with a picture of a guy getting punched in the face and 6 different areas where I have seen the problems in people's life. Now, let me just say, if you are not on the Circle platform, it's free to get on. If you look at the show notes, you can simply sign up. You can sign up for an account there. It's the platform Circle. If you have a smartphone, you would need, of course, to download the app. But on that platform, you will get access to a whole bunch of free resources. Things like this article, The Impact or The Punch of Porn. Articles on how to deal with porn in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, 50s, 60s. Different approaches based on different ages. There's a whole lot of resources, some planning tools. All of that is free. You can get on there. Just take a look at the show notes, sign up for Circle, and you can just get access to all of those free resources. Let me also say we're just starting 2025, and you have the opportunity to join one of our Finding Traction groups. I lead the group. We're going to be walking through the 52-week course, your first full year of freedom from porn. And that group is just starting out Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific or 9 p.m. Eastern. So it's not too late for you to join that group. So if your New Year's resolutions have already gone the way of the dodo bird, this would be a great time to come and join us. So reach out to me. My email is bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. So what I want to do is, again, this is all on this document on Circle, just 6 different areas of your life where I have seen the problematic effects of porn. And their spirituality, physically, socially, your marriage, impacts on your partner, and psychological. So I'm just going to put it in those general categories. And we're going to start with spiritually. Now, again, everyone's from different faith backgrounds here, but if you are from, more typically a Judeo-Christian background or Muslim background or some version of that, it's not a great sell for me to tell you that this probably violates your spiritual principles. And that leaves you with a disconnect. That leaves you feeling estranged or far from God. So that is an important area in people's life. If faith and spirituality are important to you, if your faith is important to you, oftentimes people feel like they are living a lie. And even if you're not part of a formal faith structure, let me say this, you probably have deep values for yourself, deep things that you want to be true of you. And regular use of porn, I've seen it over and over again with guys. They're just going, this is not my best version of myself. This is not who I want to become. This is changing me. This violates my deepest principles for how I want to view people. And so, however you define spirituality, this leaves people in a perpetual sense of tilt, a perpetual sense of some version of guilt or shame or some version of a loss of confidence in their spiritual relationship. And that is a pretty important thing for a lot of guys, because it's like your core is completely weakened. So that's the first area that I've seen with guys, depending on their spiritual backgrounds, but it's consistent. I've had guys that say to me, I don't consider myself, part of a faith community or faith tradition, but this deeply bothers me in terms of my values. So spirituality would be the first one. The second one would just be physically. I have, talked to guys and seen guys where there's an anxiety that they walk with, a heightened sense of anxiety. It could be over disclosure, because most people, there can be jokes on Saturday Night Live about porn, but most of us don't necessarily want those people close to us to know that we struggle or we watch a lot of porn. And it could be anxiety over disclosure with your wife or your kids, or it could be you're looking at porn at work, or you're in a setting like a school setting or something where it would have serious ramifications. That leads to anxiety, loss of sleep. I mean, this is just such an obvious one. So much porn behavior is at night, and you're ending up revving yourself up. You end up losing sleep, looking at porn at all hours of the night, and the next day you feel wasted physically. So most people who look at porn aren't known for having a good night's sleep. A good night's sleep is crucial for health. I think I'm a bit of if I'm a crusader about anything, guys that work with me in their groups, they probably think, oh, there Vern goes again about sleep. One of the questions I often ask guys is, tell me about your sleep. Tell me how much sleep you get at night. Those kind of things. It's absolutely, sleep is crucial to physical health. And with other guys, we talk, there's the idea of hijacked sexual arousal response. And what I mean by that is guys are struggling. Their sexual arousal has become so paired, so conditioned around porn that it's really been hijacked. And now they're in a real relationship. And this is not just older guys. This is younger guys as well. It changes the way you view and your body is aroused. And that becomes a real problem in real life relationships. So we had spiritual, physical. The next one is social. Now, I don't know if you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert, but a lot of guys, when they honestly take a look at their life, they go, you know what? If I'm honest, I would say that my porn use has tended to lead me to be more cut off or isolated from family and friends. I can't tell you how many guys have said to me, I was invited out to go hang out with a group of friends or something. And, I just said, no, I'm not feeling well, or I've got a busy day tomorrow. But what they really meant was, you know what, I'd rather stay home and look at porn. And they as they look at their life, they see, you know what, I am becoming increasingly cut off from those vital social relationships in my life. All right, number 4. So we did spiritual, physical, social. 4 is your marriage. Now, if you're married, this is just a no-brainer. And you might say you don't need a study to come up with this, but they have done studies on it. And sure enough, it's a no-brainer. Porn leads you to become increasingly dissatisfied with your partner. Well, why is that? Well, of course, it's due to porn's comparisons. It leads you to discontentment. Porn robs you of the ability to grow older and contented with your wife because you've become imprinted. You become increasingly dissatisfied. And so, and we could go lots of directions, but I just want to focus on that one. The idea that it leads you to become increasingly unhappy, dissatisfied, critical of your marriage, of your marriage partner. Which leads us to the 5th one. You say, well, what are the effects that it has on your partner? Well, you could have the whole range of your partner says they're fine with it, or they're completely incensed or, furious about you're looking at porn, anything in between. But the one thing that I think many marriage partners, women, for example, are saying is that porn at some level makes them feel they are not enough. Whether it leads to a feeling of betrayal or a loss of their self-esteem or their trust in the relationship, their trust in you, or even their sense of safety in the relationship. All of those are things that your partner almost inevitably will begin to experience some aspects of those things. It adds insecurity into your marriage, and your partner can pick up on that. No matter where they are with how they view about porn, that is just such a common byproduct, an occupational hazard of porn. And I just think that is huge for us who say that, we love our wives, we want the best thing for them, yet we're doing things which actually are creating in them emotional struggles, difficulty. I've heard over, how many times have I heard this? I mean, at least 10 times, women who begin to struggle with suicidal thoughts around these areas. You go, well, that's extreme. Well, the bottom line is there is a sense of there's something wrong with me or I'm losing hope. It might not get there, but if we say we love our wives and it has these negative effects on them, you go, well, how does that compute? So that's an impact of porn. It has an impact on others. And you could put there, obviously, it has an impact on our ability to stay present and engage within our families, with our kids. So many men I've talked to would say, you know what, porn robbed me of the gift of presence. there's that saying, I don't know if it's 90% or something like, maybe it was Mark Twain, 90% of success is simply showing up. Well, porn really robs us of the ability to show up with our families, to be emotionally present for them, to be there for them. So it has an effect on our partners and our families. And the last one, we could have started with this, is just the psychological effect it has on us. Again, you might not even, whether this is you would use spiritual language or not, but I've heard this over and over again from guys across the spectrum. I have a porn binge. Whenever I go down the porn rabbit hole, I feel guilt. I feel shame. I feel despair. It's like I end up, the next morning I wake up and it's like I have a hangover, an emotional hangover, a psychological hangover. It just guts me in terms of that. And so psychologically, all of that leads to just a lack of confidence. We're on our back foot. We're not able to go into life with confidence. We're not able to have a sense of agency. We're just this helpless victim, so it's that psychological effect that it has. Most men don't proudly say to people around them, I look at a lot of porn and I feel great about it. Right? It's like it's a sign of somebody that has a lack of confidence. So, the impact of porn, the punch in the face, these are some problematic areas. It could be spiritually. It could be physically. It could be your social interactions. It could be in your marriage. It could be effects on your partner or your family. Or it could be the psychological effect. And again, you can get that one-page document. I summarize that all with a guy getting his face punched in, punch in his face, and just 6 different real short statements to summarize that on Circle. And I think the bottom line is I want to provide hope for people. I can't change Facebook or I can't change, the porn industry, but I can help guys develop the life they want for themselves, the life they want for their family, the life they want for their kids, the legacy they want to leave behind them. So if you'd like to reach out to me, if you'd like to get into a group, please, it's not too late. 2025 has just started. Once again, my email is bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.